When you are 20 years old, the world feels massive and filled with endless opportunities. But the truth is, most young people have no clear idea about where to start financially. You might earn a little money from a part-time job, a small business, or even pocket savings, and that first 100 can feel like nothing in such a huge economy. But let me tell you something that is rarely said. If you know what to do with your first 100, you can completely change the direction of your future. Because it is not about the amount, it is about the mindset, the habits, and the doors that this money can open. Think of 100 as a seed. If you eat it now, it is gone forever. But if you plant it in the right soil, water it with discipline, and allow time to work, it can grow into something much bigger. In your 20s, the value of every dollar is not just the dollar itself, but the decades of growth it can experience. So let us break down exactly what you can do with your first 100s if you are 20 and serious about building wealth, skills, and opportunities. First, the most powerful place to put that money is into knowledge. Imagine spending $30 to buy a couple of well-researched books on personal finance, investing, or entrepreneurship. Those books are not just pieces of paper, they are decades of someone else's experience condensed into lessons you can use. Most people at 20 spend their money on temporary fun, but the person who invests even a small amount in knowledge begins to build a mind that attracts opportunities. Knowledge is a form of compound interest on your brain. The earlier you start, the sharper your decisions will be later. Next, allocate at least $20 into building your network. You might wonder how 20 can do that. It is simple. Attend a local event, buy a coffee for someone you admire, or sign up for a cheap online community where people are discussing money, ideas, and skills. At 20, the connections you make can be worth far more than the dollars in your wallet. Many millionaires will tell you that their first breakthrough came not from the money they had, but from the people they met. Relationships are assets, and with a small investment, you can begin to build them. Now, let us move to the skill building category. Put at least $30 into developing a skill that can make you money. In today's world, you can buy a beginner course online, learn a digital skill, or even pay for resources that allow you to practice something valuable, such as design, coding, video editing, or writing. Skills are the foundation of financial independence. If you are 20 and you learn even one high-demand skill now, that $30 can transform into hundreds or thousands of dollars over time. A person who can create value will never be broke for long. The remaining $20 can go into the most exciting part: investment. You might think $20 is too little, but here is the interesting truth. The habit of investing is more important than the amount. By using apps or platforms that allow fractional investing, you can buy a small piece of a stock, index fund, or even cryptocurrency. This is not about turning $20 into millions overnight. It is about teaching yourself that money is not just for spending, it is for multiplying. At 20, the earlier you start this habit, the more natural it will become. And 20 years later, you will thank yourself for planting that small seed. Now here is the engaging part I want you to really think about. Imagine two people who are both 20 years old. One spends 100 on clothes, food, or entertainment. It gives short happiness, but by the next week, the money is gone. The other person invests the same 100 using the method we just discussed: knowledge, networking, skills, and a small investment. 10 years later, who do you think is more likely to have a better career, a stronger financial base, and more opportunities? That is the difference a small choice can make. Another smart way to use your first 100 is to start an emergency fund. It might not sound exciting, but life is full of surprises. Having even a little money saved for unexpected events builds confidence and reduces stress. Most people at 20 run into small emergencies and then fall into debt because they never had even a few dollars set aside. An emergency fund is not about the amount, it is about training yourself to be prepared. When you build this habit early, you are less likely to fall into the traps that keep many people financially financially stuck. Also, consider using part of that 100 to improve your health. Health is wealth, and at 20, many ignore this fact. Maybe buy healthier food, pay for a basic gym membership, or invest in resources that teach you about fitness and nutrition. Because if you lose your health, no amount of money will truly save you. Strong energy, discipline, and a clear mind are priceless assets. Your 20s are the best time to build these habits, and even a small investment today can keep you active and productive for decades. Let me share another perspective. Many people wait until they are older to think about money, and by then they say, "If only I started earlier." You have a unique advantage right now. Time is your greatest ally. If you invest just 100 at 20 and let it grow with compound interest, by the time you are 60, it could be worth thousands. But more important than the math is the mindset. You are teaching yourself discipline, patience, and vision. That is the secret that separates successful people from those who always feel stuck. Another powerful idea is to use a part of your 100 to test entrepreneurship. For example, you could buy a small set of supplies to create something you can sell online, or use that money for digital tools that allow you to start a micro business. Even if you fail, the lessons you learn will be worth far more than the money lost. At 20, you can afford to fail and learn quickly. Every great entrepreneur started small, and many of them started with less than 100. The key is not perfection, it is action. Sometimes the best use of 100 is to simply keep it in a separate savings account and not touch it. This teaches you self-control. You learn that money can sit, grow, and give you choices. Too many young people live paycheck to paycheck because they have never trained themselves to delay gratification. If you can hold your first 100 and not spend it recklessly, you are proving to yourself that you are capable of building wealth. Remember, it is not about the 100 itself. It is about who you become because of it. Do you become a person who wastes it without thinking, or do you become someone who understands the value of money, time, and growth? At 20, you are writing the script of your financial life. Every small action is a line in that script. Make it count. So here is a quick recap. Divide your first 100 into 4 parts. Knowledge. Buy books or resources. Network. Spend money to meet people who inspire you. Skills. Invest in something that makes you valuable. Investment. Plant a seed for the future. Add optional layers such as an emergency fund, health, or entrepreneurship, and you have just created a system that will serve you for life. Now here is the interesting line I want to leave you with. What if your future self could come back in time and hand you advice? Imagine a 40-year-old version of you standing in front of you right now. That person would not tell you to buy the newest shoes, the latest phone, or a weekend party ticket. That person would beg you to be wise with your first dollars, because those choices decide the kind of life you will live. So if you are 20 and holding your first 100, do not underestimate its power. It is not small. It is the first brick in the foundation of your financial house. Place it wisely, build the habit, and watch as one brick turns into a wall, then a house, then a fortress of financial freedom. This is how ordinary people become extraordinary over time. You have the opportunity right now to change your story. The 100 may look small today, but it carries the power of your entire future inside it. Make the choice wisely, build the right habits, and your older self will look back and thank you. If this helped you think differently, remember, the journey of wealth starts with the smallest step. And today, that step could be what you decide to do with your very first 100.